I thought it could be fun to do a baking kind of video. It's been a minute, and it's also Christmas time, so I thought I would bake some Christmas cookies with you. Super easy recipe, like super easy, but we're just going to do it together. I'm going to show you some of the ingredients, or all of the ingredients, not some of the ingredients that you'll need, and then just walk you through step by step how I do it, so that maybe you can make them with your friends or your family this year, and then we'll taste them at the end and see how they come out. Okay, so I'll be honest, these are basically just like your average chocolate chip cookies mixed with a little bit of extra chocolate and sprinkles to make it look Christmassy. So, super easy. So, you will need some all-purpose flour. I'm using the Pillsbury brand, but with stuff like this, you can use any brand you want. It really doesn't matter. I will walk you through the actual amounts of everything you will need as we get started, but for now I'll just show you the items. So you will need all-purpose flour. Like I said, a lot of these things you will probably already have in your house, like I did. This is what you see. Everything will pretty much have a clip on it because it's already been used and opened. Okay, so that is the all-purpose flour. You are also going to need 1 egg. It says 1 large egg on the recipe. I don't think this qualifies as a large egg, to be honest with you. I would say this is more of like a medium egg, but it'll work. It's fine. So 1 egg. Be careful not to drop that, so we're just gonna go ahead and put that back down. You will also need melted butter. So obviously not melted yet, but here is our stick of butter. This should be enough. If it's not, I have more in the fridge, I believe. But this is the room temperature butter that we keep out on the counter at all times. Let's see. So there's a little more than half of a stick of butter there. So I will measure out the amount that I need, and then I'll pop it in the microwave for a little bit to melt it. It's just like regular Stop and Shop brand butter. It's not anything fancy. You will also need sugar, and specifically I'm using granulated sugar. I have confectionery sugar as well, but I'm going with pure cane granulated sugar, because what are cookies without sugar, right? So this is the Domino brand. As you can see, I think this is what we always get, so it's what I'm used to. You can see we have like a little less than half a bag left. Banana bread is made a lot in this house, so sugar has definitely been used a lot. In the back it has a recipe for classic sugar cookies. I never noticed that before. And then staying on the sugar theme, you're also going to need some brown sugar. I have a gigantic bag of brown sugar. So this is the US brand. This was a 7-pound bag of brown sugar. So this is light brown sugar, as you can see there. I know that there is a difference difference between light brown sugar and regular brown sugar. I don't know what that difference is necessarily, but I'm just gonna use light brown because that's what we have. So I love playing with stuff like this. It's so satisfying. It feels like sand, like hard sand. So brown sugar. Okay. How I haven't spilled anything yet is a miracle. Okay. And then you will need some vanilla extract. It's pure vanilla extract. This is like a huge bottle that we get from Costco. Lasts forever. And if you've ever baked with vanilla, you know that a little bit goes a long way. So that's why this lasts literally forever. But vanilla is always, or mostly always used in baking. It just gives it that nice, I don't know, sweet, warm taste. You're also going to need, this is also already opened, some baking soda. You can use baking powder as a substitute, but I know that there's a little difference between the two as well. So I'm just gonna go with what the recipe said and use baking soda, but if you have baking powder, I think it'll be okay as well. Okay, there's another cookie recipe on the back of this. Delectable cookie recipe. Okay, so we're gonna use that. Does anyone use, I don't want to know if it's just like my family's thing, does anyone use like an open box of baking soda and just keep it in the fridge? It's supposed to like keep things fresh in there, and you're supposed to change it like every, I don't know, 30 days or something. I don't know. If anybody does that, let me know, because we've always done that like my whole life. But I'm sure there are people who have never heard of that, so I don't know. Okay, and then you will need salt, just to season the cookies a little bit. I'm using kosher salt. The only difference is kosher is like thicker, right, than regular table salt, or thinner. No, it's thicker, I think. It's just bigger. It doesn't matter. It's salt. This is pretty much the salt that we use like for cooking anything and everything. It just opens right here and just pours out. So you will need a little bit of salt. And then for the fun stuff, you're gonna use 2 different kinds of chocolate chips. The first kind, dark chocolate chips. I love the 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪 brand. Pretty much almost always I will get that brand if I'm buying chocolate chips of any kind. So this is 53% cacao dark chocolate morsels. I don't know why necessarily that's what the recipe called for. Dark chocolate. Normally I would use milk chocolate, but following the recipe, so it's like dark chocolate, so I got dark chocolate. Then you will also need some white chocolate. Now this is already open because I already had this and used it for something else, but I will open it for you. Toll House, when I went, didn't have white chocolate, so I had to get the 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓲𝓪 chocolate. So just some white chocolate chips there. Premium baking chips, and 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓲𝓪 has really good chocolate too, so that's fine. And now for the fun, festive part, you're gonna need sprinkles. I got green sprinkles. Now I was looking for the mix of, they're like little balls, and it's white, green, and red, and I wanted that combination. They didn't have it, so I just settled for green. I was going to buy red as well and just like mix them together. But I thought that that would be kind of extra, and I didn't want to buy another thing of sprinkles because I don't use sprinkles like ever, so you know, it's just gonna sit in the cabinet. So I just got green. It's fine. Green is a Christmas color. So you will need sprinkles, but you can use any sprinkles you want. If you have red, if you have that like combination of the three, go for it. We have the white from the chocolate chips and the green, so we're just, I don't know, I'll put it on like a red plate or something. I don't know. So those are all of the ingredients that you will need. You will also need a bowl to mix everything in. You'll need something to mix it all together, whether you want to use electric mixer or a regular like spoon or spatula, whatever. And then you will also need a baking sheet. This is the one I'm gonna use. And you will need something to grease it as well, whether it's like Pam or any kind of spray. You can even use butter, whatever you want, so that the cookies don't stick. Alright, so I'm going to adjust myself a little bit and we will start combining all of the ingredients. Okay, so we're going to start combining everything now. While I'm combining everything, I have my oven set to preheat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to go step by step. Okay, so I've already melted my butter, and it actually turned out to be like 8 tablespoons. It was perfect. So I let it cool for a little bit so that I could touch it. Here's my bowl. Sorry, don't want to blind you. And I'm gonna pour that in there. Then you're going to add your sugar, the granulated sugar. So we're gonna use 1/4 of a cup of the white sugar. And then we're gonna go in with 1/2 a cup of the brown sugar. Here's my cute little 1/2 cup scoop. That's gonna go in there. And now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna go mix it with my electric mixer. I don't want to do that on camera because it will be very, very loud. But I'm just gonna do a quick mix. Again, you can use a spoon, you can use a spatula, you can do whatever you want. But I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all together and I will be right back. Alright, so I'm back. It is mixed together and I have since cracked the 1 egg in here. So that is ready to go. And before we mix again, we're gonna go in with our vanilla extract. You are going to need 2 tablespoons. So I'm gonna use my cute little measuring things. So we're gonna go 1. I was actually kind of surprised that it was 2 because remember, like I said, 1 goes a long way. Also, I'm gonna change up my camera angle in a second. I just want to combine everything first. Alright, here's the second one. Boom. So now, as you can tell, this recipe, you're gonna just be mixing like 2 or 3 things in at a time. But it really doesn't take that long. I think it's taking me a little longer just because I'm filming it. So I'm gonna go mix this again off camera and I will be right back. Now it is time for our baking soda. And you're gonna want 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So let me just scoop that in there. There's my 1 teaspoon. Straight into the bowl. And then you're gonna want your salt. And that is going to be 1/2 teaspoon. So let me grab my box. And I'm just gonna pour it in there. This is always really hard for me, these little spoon things. I'm doing it over the sink, don't worry, I'm not spilling it everywhere. Okay, right into the bowl. Then the messy part, which is the flour. So you are going to want 1 2/3 of a cup of flour, so a little bit more than 1 1/2 cups. that's roughly a cup, so that's good. So that is gonna go right in there. And then the 2/3 of a cup, which is right there. So I will try to go a little bit slower this time so that it doesn't all come out at once. Let's see. Technically, if you're like measuring, you're supposed to put it down on a surface to make sure that it's level, but I don't have that luxury right now, so yeah, that looks about good. Alright, so 1 2/3 of a cup. And now this is where the dough is actually going to start to form. So I'm going to go mix all that. Oh my gosh, there's so much flour in the air right now. I'm gonna go mix all that together with my mixer. That's gonna form the dough. It's gonna be nice and soft. And then we'll start adding in all of our chocolate morsels. Okay, so everything is mixed together. You can see I have my dough here. I will say I added an extra egg. This is the first time I'm trying this recipe, so I'm kind of like feeling it out as we go along. The mixture was just too dry to be cookie dough, so I added an extra egg and I added a tiny bit more flour. I didn't measure it, but just like a little dash so that it wasn't as sticky. And it seems to be okay now. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. 2 eggs, maybe a little more flour if you feel like you need it. So now we're gonna get into the fun stuff. So we're gonna do half a cup of each type of chocolate. So half a cup of the dark chocolate, half a cup of the white chocolate. So we should have a cup there of the two. And then it says 1/4 of a cup of sprinkles, but these are different sprinkles, so I don't know, I may just eyeball it myself. I took the top off and I'm just gonna, now I know these are gonna melt and it's just gonna give like a green color to the cookie. So let me put the top back on, and now I'm not even gonna use the electric mixer. I'm just gonna mix this all in by hand. So I'm gonna mix all the chocolate and sprinkles in, and then I'm gonna change up my camera angle and we'll start scooping the cookies onto the pan. Okay, so I have my greased cookie sheet here. The chocolate's been mixed into the dough, super sticky, so I wouldn't recommend using the electric mixer. Like I said, I just did it by hand. And then I'm gonna use this ice cream scooper, scoop the dough out, and it's just so much easier to get it out of here because it just kind of scrapes it out. So I'm gonna use that. The recipe did call for making like 9 cookies, so it's not gonna be that many. That's why I only have 1 sheet. They're gonna be pretty big, so you can always just double the recipe if you want to. So they're essentially just going to be really big piles of dough. They're going to be big. I was looking at the pictures on the recipe that I got this from, which I will link down below should you want to try this yourself. So if you're wondering why I'm making them so big, that is why. And I'm actually gonna have to spread them apart a little bit farther. There we go. Seriously, I would recommend using a ice cream scoop for this. This is like so freaking easy. This is my first time using an ice cream scooper to make cookies, and it is a absolute life changer. I'll spread these out more later if I have room. We're getting close to the end of the batter here. I really hope these come out good. I can smell the vanilla so strong, and that's kind of worrying me a little bit. I just hope it's not like was supposed to. So I just don't want them to like all bleed together. So I'm just going to separate them a little bit more. Alright, so these are going to go into the oven for 11 minutes. I'm probably going to check them after 10, and then we'll see how they look. Okay guys, so I'm back. I know you can still hear my oven. It like cleans itself afterwards, and it still makes noise even after you turn it off. And it's been off for like a good 20 minutes now, so I'm sorry for that little hum that you may hear in the background, but let me show you these monsters. They are essentially just big piles of dough, like I said before. So I actually cooked them longer than 11 minutes. I would say I had them in there for like 16, 17 minutes because they are so thick. And then I took them out and I let them sit on the stove for like an additional 10 minutes because that allows them to keep cooking even after they're out of the oven. So this is what you get. So I'm going to show you one up close, and we're going to try one. This one has been calling my name. Let me show you. So it's got the green specks in it, and look how thick that is. That's crazy. So of course I'm gonna bite into the part that has the most chocolate, because why wouldn't I? So they're still like soft because they're so thick. Okay. The green part looks really cool. So, okay. Final verdict. I would put less vanilla next time because the vanilla is pretty strong. I would put maybe like a tablespoon and a half instead of 2, or maybe even just 1 tablespoon. Everything else is great. The dough tastes really good. Chocolate is perfect. The consistency is great. It's not too sweet, but it's sweet enough. Really good. Have some water here. The chocolate is very rich, and I feel it all over my teeth. Okay, so that is going to be today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you try this recipe, let me know. Again, I'll have it linked down below. Just be mindful of the things that I said I changed, because I don't know, certain things weren't really adding up before. So just, I don't know, take the recipe with a grain of salt and kind of just feel your way through it. But if you try it, let me know, and let me know how they come out.